Yes, sir, it's visible. Only you, if you can do full screen, it will be great.
Yeah, yeah. Just a minute. Is it okay now?
Sir, it's yeah, it's perfect. Right, sir.
Okay, okay. Because of some network issue, Dr. Ankit, I'll be switching off my video.
Okay, perfectly fine, sir.
Okay, fine, fine. Okay, fine. Okay. So fellow participants, the topic of my presentation is reclaimed asphalt payments. Now, I'll be covering the following topics in my presentation. First of all, I'll be giving a brief overview of what asphalt payments are. Then I'll be discussing some definitions that will, in further slides, will clarify you about that what these definitions are. And then we'll be discussing the concept of sustainability. Then certain properties like mechanical and chemical properties of recycled payments. Then types of hot mix asphalt recycling. What are the various types and how we extract these. Then certain specifications what we follow in India as per IRC and what other countries around the world they follow, with a special emphasis on what Japan is doing in this RAP study. And at the last, advantages of using RAP material. So first of all, let's have an overview of what asphalt mixes. So before discussing what is RAP, let us understand that what is bitumen. Right? What is bitumen and what are aggregates? Because these are the two major constituents of the asphalt mix. So asphalt mixes, it comprises of two major components. One is binder and the second one is aggregates. Aggregates, they make up to 95% of the total hot mix asphalt mixture by weight. Whereas asphalt binder, they makes up the remaining 5%. Now this 95 aggregate, the total cost is approximately 30%. Whereas the 5% binder alone, it consumes 70% of the total cost of the road construction. Now with time, the payments, they are subjected to climate changes and varying traffic loads, and thus they require either replacement or maintenance. So two things are required when the road is aged. Right? So you require either maintenance or either replacement. And in both the cases, the existing payment or part of it, it is required to be removed. Now this removed part or this ripped off surface, it is called reclaimed asphalt payment or RAP. Now there are certain problems which we face. Now the pavement industry is one of the largest consumers of natural aggregates and bitumen. So approximately 95% of the bitumen that is being produced, it is used in pavements and aggregates also. So the pavement industry produces lakhs of tons of reclaimed asphalt material from reconstruction or when we do the repair work, and it is considered as a waste for this pavement industry. Now there is a problem of disposing this waste. You need to have certain land area on which you are going to dispose of this waste. So first of all, you require land to construct the road. Secondly, when you have to upgrade the road or you have to rip this road off, again you require another part of a land where you have to dispose of this waste material. Now the bitumen, this is the major problem. Another problems, they are secondary one, like bitumen manufacture, it causes environmental impacts. When you heat up the bitumen, it releases hydrocarbons. Fine. So carbon dioxide is being released in the atmosphere, and wherever you heat up the bitumen, it gives a bad odor or bad smell to the residents living in the nearby areas, and factories and fumes are disposed of, and so on. Now there are certain distresses that are associated with this recycled payments. Now distresses in payments, they are mostly associated with aged binder. So aging, what is aging? Aging is when this bitumen, it becomes hard, fine, due to when it is subjected to sunlight, ultraviolet rays, and so on, and movement of traffic, of course, on this road. So that is why we say that the age of a flexible pavement is around 10 years, or with maintenance, it increases to up to 15 years. So what does maintenance means? We give an overlay on that road. Now that is not the solution. Providing an overlay is not a solution at all. Now, aging increases binder stiffness and viscosity. A major part of asphalt aging, it occurs during mixing with the aggregates. So when you mix the binder with the aggregate, and whenever that binder is heated up, it causes loss of volatile fractions. And another is absorbance of oily constituents which are absorbed by the aggregate. Now these two things, one is loss of volatile fraction and the absorbance of oily constituents from the bitumen by the aggregate, it results in a short-term aging. Fine. So there is a minor increase in the viscosity of the bitumen during these processes. So this short-term aging, it occurs when you heat up the binder, when you lay the aggregate or the mixture onto the road, and when you compact it during the construction process. Second is long-term aging mechanism. Now this long-term aging, it is a phenomena that occurs during the lifetime of the pavement. So once the pavement is constructed, it is subjected to heat, right? It is subjected to atmospheric changes in the temperature, it is subjected to photo-oxidation and so on. So this causes a long-term aging. Now due to these aging phenomena, the bitumen, it becomes stiff, and this less elastic binder in wrap, it increases mixture stiffness, and therefore it can cause fatigue damage and low temperature brittleness. So these are some of the main reasons why the government agencies, they are reluctant to use high wrap content in their mixes. Now from where we get this additional binder or additional bitumen? So the alternate material that have the potential to replace bitumen is recycled pavements. So the pavement that has already been constructed, you can extract the binder or the bitumen from that, and you can again reuse it. So this is one source. Now in this picture, you can see that on left hand side, you have an aggregates which are coated with bitumen. On the right side, you have recycled pavement. When the bitumen is removed, this is how the aggregates look like. Now, before we start with the wrap mixes, it's important that we must understand that what does bitumen constitute of. Now, in this slide, you can see two compositions. The one is elemental composition, and the second is chemical composition. So most of us are aware that what is bitumen? It is a hydrocarbon. It is a long chain hydrocarbon. It consists of carbon atoms and hydrogen atoms, which are essentially non-polar in character. But though the percentage of carbon and hydrogen, it is very high, you can see that we have a small percentage of the sulfur, nitrogen, or oxygen. Now, these are not waste materials. They are heteroatoms, and they have a profounding effect on the properties of the bitumen and how this bitumen interacts with the aggregate. So it is decided by the sulfur, nitrogen, or oxygen percentage. Now we have chemical composition. This chemical composition consists of bitumen. Bitumen is further divided into asphaltenes and maltines. And maltines, they are further divided into saturates, aromats, and resins. So I'll not going to much detail of these. Let us see that understand that what does these percentage of asphaltenes and maltines it is like. Just a minute. I think these lines are appearing on the screen.
Yes, sir. We are resolving it. We are resolving it. I think there are some participants. Of course, they would be students only, I believe, those who,
Okay.
Sometimes.
Okay. No problem, Ankit.
We are removing it, sir. It happens. It usually happens. I think whosoever is
No,
doing it will be kicked out from the.
Dr. Ankit, no problem in that. Just ignore this.
Yeah, yeah,
We
right.
must ignore all these small things. No problem in that. Right?
Yeah, yeah. Sir, you please go ahead. We are just removing
Yeah.
it. Right.
No problem. I thought that because my laptop is a touch screen, I thought that it is because of me that I have created these slides on the. No problem.
No issues, no issues. Right, sir.
No.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Now, what is the importance of these asphaltenes and maltings? Though it is related to this is a concern of a chemical engineer, but being civil engineer, we must be aware that what does high asphaltene content or low maltine content, how does it affects the properties of the bitumen? Now, increasing asphaltene content, it produces hard and more viscous bitumen with low penetration, higher softening point, and higher viscosity. Right? So that means if you have more asphaltene content than the desired one, the bitumen, it will be more viscous. It will be harder. Fine. That means if you want the bitumen to be softer, you have to reduce the asphaltene content. So this is what we'll be doing in the later stage, that how this asphaltene content is needs to be regulated. Now these are certain asphalt binder characteristics. So binder normally it acts as a waterproofing agent and holds the aggregates together. Right? And it is viscous as high temperature and elastic at low temperature. So therefore, it is named as viscoelastic material. It returns to its original shape. That is a property of the flexible pavement. Once the load is removed, it returns to its original shape until unless it is too stiff. Now, why does it become too stiff? It becomes stiff due to aging. Now, aging via oxidative hardening, it increases due to high temperature. You keep on increasing the temperature, the bitumen will keep on aging hard faster. Now, what does this aging results? It results in harder asphalt, and harder asphalt leads to more cracking, and therefore we require either ripping or removal of the pavements, or we go for this overlay. Now, this chart, it shows that when various materials they are being recycled throughout the world, the asphalt today it is recycled at the maximum capacity. 80% of the asphalt it is being recycled, whereas glass or plastic, which we are saying that we are using plastic roads nowadays, only 37% of the plastic is being recycled as compared to 80% of the wrap material, or let us say asphalt, not wrap exactly. Now, how did this wrap started being used by various researchers or construction companies or consultants? Now, using wrap in hot mix asphalt, it is not a new phenomena. Wrap has been used in hot mix asphalt since 1970 in US. So the use of wrap, it was felt because of increased demand and high cost of petroleum products, including asphalt. Therefore, wrap processing equipment and procedures have significantly advanced in various countries. So now we have latest technologies, new counterflow drum plants, and because if you are using a wrap material, the contractor, if he using a wrap material, that means he is getting extra bitumen and extra aggregates, and therefore he can give a competitive bidding price as compared to the other ones. So in this world of competition, one contractor who is using a wrap, he will get the contract despite of the other ones. So this is how the use of wrap material, it was encouraged. Now, this is a definition of recycled payments. Now, reprocessed payment materials containing asphalt and aggregate, that is known as RAP. So these materials, they are generated when asphalt payments, they are removed. So why do we remove the asphalt payments? There are basically three reasons. First is we want to reconstruct them. Right? Second is we want to resurface. Whenever there are more cracks, we either do resurfacing, or whenever there are cracks more than the desired quantity, then we go for reconstruction. But secondly, the third one is that whenever we want to have certain utilities, fine, laying of certain cables or sewer pipes, then again we go for the digging of the pavements, and this RAP material is being generated. Now, in order to understand how this RAP material works, I'll be discussing about certain RAP specifications later on. But before that, we must understand that certain terms and definitions that we'll be encountering again and again in the further presentation. First is RAP, recycled asphalt pavement. Now, what does it consist of? It is removed or processed pavement materials containing asphalt binder and aggregate. So now two things are there. Whenever we mill the old surface, old road, whenever we cut the old road or constructed road, it has two components. One is asphalt binder and second is the aggregate. Now it consists of two things, asphalt binder and aggregate, both old one. Right? Now what is RAM? Reclaimed aggregate material. Now in the RAP material, what you got is aggregate coated with old binder or aged binder. Right? RAM is removed or processed pavement material containing no asphalt binder. So it is only the aggregate when the asphalt is removed from the old aggregate, it is known as RAM. Next is recycled hot mix asphalt. Now, recycled HMA. What does it consist of? It consists of final mixture of RAP. It is a final mixture of RAP in addition to new asphalt binder plus new aggregate plus recycling agent. So it has three things now: old asphalt, old aggregate, and new aggregate and new asphalt if required, plus recycling agent. Now what is this recycling agent? As recycling agent, or another name or technical name, it is rejuvenators. So as per ASTM D4552, so this is an important code which deals with the rejuvenators or recycling agents. It says that the petroleum product with a combination of chemical and physical properties which is designed to restore aged asphalt. Now what does this definition says? It says the recycling agents are those agents which, when added to the old binder, they help to recover its original properties or the desired specifications. Right? So therefore, to recover the properties of the binder which have been lost over the period of time, rejuvenators are added. Rejuvenators, they restore the original asphaltenes to maltine content, because that asphaltene and maltine content, it has been changed due to continuous short-term aging and long-term agents. Fine. And it has become a plastic type material. Volatiles have evaporated. Fine. So these rejuvenators, they again add a certain quantity of volatiles. Now suppose we take an example of a candle. What happens to a candle when it is burnt? The volatile material, it evaporates from the candle, and whatever wax is left behind, you cannot again make a candle from it and burn it again. Right? Why? Because volatile material that has evaporated from it, they cannot be put back. If you can anyhow put that volatile material back into that old wax or burnt out wax or waste wax, you can probably make a new candle from it and again burn it. So this is what recycling agents, they are doing it. They are helping in recycle the asphalt or use asphalt again. Right? Then we have asphalt modifier. So most of us know that any compound which helps or which is used as an admixture to alter or improve properties of asphalt binder, they are known as modifiers. You have various modifiers like elastomers, plastomers, and so on. This is again a different topic, not going much detail into the asphalt modifiers. We'll proceed further. Now, let us see that what is this concept of sustainability? How it is a sustainable material? We normally say that RAP, it is a sustainable material. Why it is sustainable? Because we are using all used aggregates, we are using all used binder which have been used since last 5 to 10 years in that particular road section. By using these old aggregate and binder, we are saving fuel which could have been used to again heat up the binder, which could have been used again to heat up the aggregate, Fine. And therefore we are saving the carbon footprints. Now, why we need to replace existing material? There are basically four reasons. See, there can be another way out. If you have a cracked surface, you can put an overlay. Right? But what will that overlay do? After certain years, the cracks that are underneath, they will be reflected on the upper surface. Most of us know this thing. Secondly, whatever overlay we have laid, what has it done? It has increased the pavement thickness. What has what will this increased pavement thickness, how will it affect? It will affect by whatever, see, you have curves, you have mountable curves, low mountable curves, non-mountable curves, right? So the curve height, it is measured from the top surface of the pavement. So the curve height is normally, I think, 15, 20 or 25 or 30 centimeters. You put an overlay one after the other. So the curve which has a clear cover of 15 centimeter, it will be reduced. Vehicles will now be easily able to climb up the shoulder. Secondly, wherever you have the underpasses, you keep on increasing the overlay thickness, the clear distance between the top deck slab and the bottom top surface of the pavement, it will be reduced. So you want to maintain pavement geometrics as well as pavement thickness. We want to reduce the pollution. We want to help to conserve the natural resources. Therefore, we need to replace the existing material. Now, recycling or reuse pavements, these are again the same things which I've already talked to you. When you use the wrap material, easy construction is, there is a possibility of easy construction, there is a possibility of a fast construction, there is a possibility of saving in material, money, and energy, all this. So properties of recycled pavements. So there are three properties of recycled pavements. They are physical, mechanical, and chemical. They have been distributed into these three manners. Now in this table, the important thing is you need not to go through all the properties, just one or two. See, look at the asphalt content. Normally you have the asphalt content of 4.5 to 6%, right? But in wrap, you will have a maximum asphalt content of 3 to 7%. Now penetration of this wrap material, it lies between 10 to 80. Right? Normally you have a penetration of 60, 70 or 80, 100 and so on, but this wrap material has become harder and stiffer and the penetration reduces. And the viscosity, it has between 4,000 to 25,000 poise. These are the mechanical properties. I'll skip these. Now, let us see that from where all we get this wrap material. Fine. There are three sources for obtaining the wrap material. First is when you mill the pavements. Right? So this is a milling machine. When you are milling the machine, using this milling machine, you get pavement milling. Then secondly, you get asphalt pavement by removal, by scrapping. So in the first picture, this one, you can see that this dozer, it is scrapping the material. And third is you get plant waste material. And whatever waste material you get from the hot mix plant, that is also a sort of a wrap material. Now there are basically two methods of removal of existing pavements. So they have been divided into cold mix or cold milling. And second is ripping and crushing. Now these both the methods, they have their own advantages and disadvantages. Earlier we were going for this ripping and crushing, but nowadays we are going for cold milling. Of the two methods, cold milling is most widely used nowadays. Now, where do we prefer this cold milling technique? It is preferred when you have to improve the rideability or cross slope of the existing pavement. Secondly, when you have to lower the finished grade adjacent to the existing curbs or the shoulders that I have already discussed. You have to lower the pavement thickness, right, in order to keep the clear cover between the curbs and the pavement thickness. Right. Now this cold milling, it includes transporting, stockpiling, right, or disposing of the removed pavement material. It includes both. You have to transport the material, you have to stockpile the material. It is included. Now this milled material, how are the contractors, they are being provoked, or they are encouraged to use this material? So whenever you have to encourage, now this is a waste material, right? Now this milled material, it becomes a property of the contractor as per contract. So this is what the Indian government has done. In the contract, they simply mentioned that this milled material is the property of the contractor, or he can use it at his own will. So this is done only to encourage the contractors to use this milling technique. And contractor can recycle the wrap material on the same project, or he can use this recycled material on any other project. Now, it is not possible for any of the government agencies to get hold of this recycled material, stockpile it, and use it further in any other project. It is not possible for the government. They have to have uh, huge storage bins to store this. It cannot be stored simply. You might have seen at certain construction sites that this wrap material is lying like this only. Right? So when if the moisture enter into this wrap materials, now then it is of no use. Or if you want to use it, you have to again heat it up. Uh, Now there is a great disadvantage if the moisture enter into this. Now the equipment for this operation, it is known as a milling machine. You can see into this diagram. The machine, it should be capable of maintaining a depth of cut and a cross slope. Now that means that you have to feed into this machine. It is a computer operated machine. Now this machine should have a setup that if you feed that only top 5 centimeter of the layer is to be scrapped, so it should scrap only up to that 5 centimeter, not below that. Now why it is required? Now suppose I want to scrap the BC layer, the top layer. Now let us say the thickness of the BC layer is 50 mm. Now if I want to make a new BC layer, it is not advisable to scrap whole of the 50 mm in a single run. Though this machine is capable to scrapping up to 8 inches, 8 to 10 inches, but we normally don't go for it. The reason behind this is that at least 20 mm of the existing bituminous layer, it is left in place. Why? So that the bond between the bituminous cores and the underlying layer, it is not disturbed or not distorted. And if you have to lay another course after a certain time period, so it should the course that you have left behind, that is 20 mm, it should act as a waterproofing agent, and it should not allow the rain to enter into the lower layers. Now this picture, it shows the modern cold milling drum with the tungsten carbide teeth. So these are the tungsten carbide teeth. Right? The milling width, it can be from 1 meter to the full lane width. And the depth to which this milling machine is capable to mill the material, it is 8 inches to 15 inches. Now this is a ripping and crushing machine. It is an alternate to the cold milling or the ripping machine. What is the disadvantages of this machine is, the disadvantage is that it produces bigger size milled material. Now what you have to do is you have to take this material to the plant. There you have to crush this material so that this crushed material, it can be used further. Now what is the objective of crushing is? The objective of crushing is to reduce the wrap to the maximum acceptable particle size. So the maximum size that we allow in the wrap material to be used is 50 mm. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages of cold milling machine and this ripping machine? It's fine. So milling machine, we have seen that there are blades in it, and there are tungsten teeth. So what does these teeth do? They break the aggregate further to a much smaller size than the existing one. What does it results in? It results in more fine particles. So they are not desirable. But it does not produces any heat or any pollution which is being produced by the this ripping and crushing machine. But the advantage of ripping and crushing machine is whatever bigger chunks of the waste material you got it, you can take them to the plant, you can crush them as per your will, you can store them, you can bifurcate them as is normally done at the normal hot mix plants. Now the next is we have types of hot mix asphalt payments. Now there are basically four types. So one was discussed by Dr. Ranjan in his yesterday presentation. He was discussing about the formed bitumen and it comes under the cold in place recycling. So we discussed the first one. I'll be briefing you about the rest of the three. Now, basically, there are two. Right? So as you can see on the screen, there are four parts or four types. Now, one is that if you are doing recycling at the site, right? So it is known as in-place recycling. So they are further divided into cold in place or hot in place. So whenever you heat up the material, it is known as hot in place. If you are using emulsions or if you are using formed bitumen, it is known as cold in place. Second is if you take that material, right? So milling, what is milling? It is a in place process. Right? Scarifying or scrapping, it is a plant process. You have to take the to the plant and there it has to be further processed out. Right? So that is known as a central plant method, central plant recycling. Again, the same process. If you are using cool technology at the plant, it will be called a central plant recycling. If you are using hot, heating up the material or by using any fuel, it is known as hot central plant recycling. So cold in place recycling, let us see what is it. Existing payment material, it is being reused, right? And as its definition says that it is a rehabilitation technique in which the existing payment material, they are reused in place. And in this process, milling and mixing, they are simultaneously carried out by a single equipment or we have a train of equipments that is capable of milling and conveying the milled material to be fed into a pug mill. So this is more suitable than cold central plant recycling. Why? Because for if you are going for a central plant recycling, there is a haulage cost. You have to bear the cost, transportation cost, once the materials are to be taken from the site to the plant and again processing there and bringing back to the site. It adds to additional cost. Now, this process, though it is costly, but it is preferred where the plant is much far away from the normal site. Now, there are two ways in which CIPR, cold in place recycling, it can be performed. First is full depth and second is partial depth. So in full depth, both asphalt layer, WMM and GSP layer, they are crushed, mixed with the binder and placed at a stabilized base course. So this is full depth. You scarify whole of all the layers till WMM and GSP and then you again relay the payment. In partial depth, a portion of asphalt layer, let us say you want to scarify or mill only the BC layer 2 to 4 inches, a small portion of unbound layer, it is milled out and again relayed. So this is a picture of this CIPR equipment train. So it is a long chain of various equipments. These are all the equipments. And now this train, it can be, they are further classified as single train unit when you have just this much component. This is a double train, 2 train. This is a 3 train. This is a 4 train. So you keep on adding the components. It is classified as 1 unit, 2 unit train, multi-unit train, and so on. Now this is the schematic arrangement. It shows a photograph of a single unit train, right? Which consists of a milling machine, right? emulsion, cold recycle roller, and so on. Now this is what Dr. Ranjan was talking yesterday. You have an injection of emulsions. So these are the blades which will carry the payment. It comes into this hooper where you inject the emulsion, or in case of formed bitumen, you inject steam, hot steam of water into it. It expands, and then again relaying can be done. See, now this is the formed bitumen is being used in this one. The hot in place recycling. Now we come to this. Hot in place recycling means, let me show you the photograph of this first. Just have a look at this photograph. This is the schematic diagram of hot in place recycling. What is being done is, this road is not being milled as it was being milled in the cold in place recycling. What we do in this is, a top layer or the existing payment, it is being heated up. Fine. Once it is being heated, it becomes softened, and then it is being scarified. Now this hot mix asphalt or a recycling agent, they may be added into this, or this is a wrap material. You add rejuvenators, you can add modifiers into it, and then again the laying is being done. But the disadvantage of this method is that heat will be transferred only to a certain depth. So the use of this technique is limited only to top 50 mm of the payment layer. That means only BC layer can be treated with this. You cannot go beyond this layer. Now, the fourth one was cold in place, cold central plant recycling method. So it is defined as a process in which wrap materials, they are combined with a new bituminous binder, recycling agent, or virgin aggregate to produce cold base mixes. When it is done in a central plant, it is called cold central plant recycling. So it includes ripping of the material, then mixing, and then laying down. The wearing surface, it is to be provided after the completion of this mix. Now there are certain again advantages and disadvantages of all these materials. Higher production rate, better control of equipment. So if you go for the basic difference is that if you go for a plant mix, you can have a better control at the quality, which is not being maintained if you have an in place laying, whether it is by a hot method or it is by a cold method. So I'll skip this. Now let us come to an important part. This is wrap specifications. Now see, wrap is being used. I already mentioned that it is being used since 1970, but in our country, we have started using this wrap material since 2005 or so. And research is being done at a very huge scale in our country and abroad also. But we are far behind in using the wrap quantity. I'll discuss that why we are not able to use 100% of. In fact, none of the countries in the world, they have been able to use 100% of wrap material. Now just have a look in this chart. Germany, it is the highest producer of wrap in Europe, with approximately 87% of its wrap produced, it is being reused in hot mix asphalt. So basically, this is not the important column. This is what they are producing wrap. That means they are producing waste material. Now this is important. How much percentage of waste material they are actually being using it again. Right? So German Asphalt Payment Association, it gives guidelines and specifications for the use of wrap material. So all these countries, whether it's Germany or it's USA or it's Italy, France, Austria, they have their own specifications for using wrap material. Right? Now, we are normally governed with AASHTO specifications or IRC specifications. So AASHTO says that if you want to use this wrap material from 0 to 15%, no change in base binder grade has to be incorporated or has to be made. What does this mean? Why are we changing the base binder? Right? See, we have a wrap material. Wrap material means old aggregate and old binder. Right? Let us assume that aggregate are as it is. They have not been affected by the load. They have not been affected by the temperature change and so on. Right? They are durable and best quality aggregates. We have it. Now the change is, now the changes are there in the binder. What happened to the binder? It has been aged, and due to aging, it has become stiffer. Right? So originally, if we are using VG30, right, now it has become a stiff binder. The viscosity has increased. Now, if the viscosity has increased, we cannot use as it is. Specification says that I have to use VG30 at a particular place. So wrap material, it is not now VG30. It has become more stiff. What do I need to do is, I need to add a softer binder into it so that it again has the viscosity of VG30, that is 3000 poise approximately. So Astro says that if you are using 0 to 15% of the wrap material and rest is a new aggregate and new binder, you need not to change the base binder. If you are using VG30, go on with that. If you are using this wrap material from 15 to 25%, then what you have to do is, if you are using a binder of grade VG30, then you have to reduce that grade to one lower grade. For example, if you are using VG30 at a particular place and you want to use 15 to 25% of the wrap material, then now instead of VG30, use VG20. Right? You are reducing one grade. But if you want to use wrap material greater than 25%, then you have to go for binder evaluation, blending charts, etc. etc. It is not that you keep on reducing the binder grade one more down, and so on. No. Now, what does IRC says? IRC says from 0 to 20%, you need not to change any base binder grade. So Astro was saying 0 to 50, IRC says 0 to 20. Second is 21 to 30. You have to reduce one grade. Astro was saying 15 to 25, you have to reduce to one grade. So this is simply what I am showing you, the comparison between the international specifications and Indian. Right? Then Astro was saying greater than 25, you have to use the blending charts and binder evaluation has to be done. IRC says greater than 30, you have to use blending charts, and blending charts, which one? As suggested by ASTM D4887. So this is an important code which is to be used. It has given the blending charts, and you have to follow these blending charts to determine that which viscosity grade. So what are these blending charts? Blending charts will tell you that which viscosity grade you have to use with the old wrap material if that wrap material is to be used greater than 30%. So just look at the note. It says that under no circumstances the selected viscosity grade shall be more than 2 grades softer than the grade normally used. Now we are saying from 0 to 20, you need not to change any grade. When you move from 21 to 30, right, you have to reduce one grade. Further, you have to reduce one grade lower. So it is not that if you are using this 30%, or let us say I am using 50% of the wrap material, and initially I am using a VG40, so I cannot reduce the binder grade below VG20. One grade is lower as VG30, further one grade lower is VG20, so I cannot move below VG20. Right? Now there, what then I have to do? I have to use rejuvenators. Fine. Now these are the wrap specifications. What does these wrap specifications say? They say that factors controlling percentage of wrap, how much percentage of wrap I can use. So there is no fixed criteria throughout the world that what percentage of wrap can be used. It depends upon temperature to which these new aggregates must be heated, moisture content of wrap, temperature of wrap, exhaust capacity of pug mills, percentage material passing through 75 mm sieve, and so on. But see, countries like Japan and other, they have preferred using 50% of RAP. Right? Generally, 30 to 35% is considered to be a practical limit. But normally, what we say is 10 to 20% is being used currently in our country, because we need not to make further design, change any design specifications. We need not to go for the adding of rejuvenators and so on. So up to 20%, or we were saying that same base binder could have been used. Now these are the certain specifications what various countries are using. First one is main road specifications. Main roads specification, it is being used by Australia. So Australia is currently using, allowing only 10% of reclaimed asphalt binder to be used in the roads, and that also only in the wearing course. They are not allowing to allow the use of RAP in any other course. Right? So international studies, they say that you can use up to 30%. India recommends 30%, but with the change of the base binder. Right? One grade softer is being allowed. Japan is using up to 47%. US up to 20%. Right? So now we see that Japan, how can Japan use 47% whereas US is using only 27% and India is using 30% and so on. With special reference to this 47% RAP being used by Japan, so few years ago, US sent a team comprising of various researchers and so on to Japan to study that how they are able to use 47% of the RAP in their payments. Right? So the reason behind this is that the Japanese people, they are not so rigid about the specifications. As the rigidity of this US companies is concerned, they were very rigid. They have shifted to new techniques. Japan has incorporated certain what we should call that old techniques also. Right? So they are using a combination of old and new specifications and old and new techniques. And so they are not rigid. So therefore, they have been able to use 47% of the RAP material. So this is the data which I got for 2015. Latest I came to know that Japan is now using around 55% of the RAP material in 2019. So it's a record that they are making use of such a high use of RAP material. So they are governed with 5 motives. First is they minimize the amount of asphalt paving material waste. So they lack land. US has enormous land area. Japan has a very small island. So they want to reduce the waste material. Second is saving natural resources. They want to save raw materials. They want to save asphalt. They want to save aggregates. Then conservation of energy. Energy to the extent processes energy to extract the aggregates, processing and transportation of raw material and so on, and reduction of carbon dioxide and reduction of asphalt paving cost. Now RAP, as per Japanese standards, they have 3 main specifications. RAP must have a minimum asphalt content of 3.8%. So let us say that if we are using a BC, designing a BC layer, so you start designing with a minimum content of 5%. Nowadays we have that a new specification, more specification. They say minimum 5 to 4%. After 5 to 7 years, if the road is unfit to be used, and due to aging, the content, asphalt content reduces. Fine. So whichever RAP material, if it has a minimum RAP content of 3.8%, the Japanese say that it can be used. Fine. Second, the salt extracted and recovered from a RAP must have a penetration grade of 20 or more. So minimum penetration grade that is allowed is 20. So this is I'm talking about the penetration grade of the recovered asphalt. Now, fine dust content, that is P200 of the processed RAP, that is not the wrap aggregate, it is of the processed wrap, it cannot exceed 5%. So these were the three specifications. If any wrap material fulfill these three criteria, it is allowed to be used for the reconstruction process. Now, most of the wrap binder, what happened is that most of the wrap binder, it failed to meet these specifications. Right? Not all the three specifications, but it failed to meet the minimum penetration criteria. What was the reason for this? The reason was that the increased use of polymer modified asphalt, that is PMB, as well as repeated recycling of payments. Fine. So Japan has been using this PMB material since many years. So by introducing the PMB, we have already a stiff binder. So most of the asphalt payments used in Japan, they contain this PMB. So in lieu of the penetration test, now most of the, I said most of the wrap material, they failed in this penetration. Right? So in lieu of this penetration test, they went for another test, that is recovered wrap asphalt. Specimens of 100% wrap are compacted. What is, they were making Marshall specimens for 100% wrap and compacted specimens, and they were tested for indirect tensile strength test at 20 degrees Celsius. So ITS test was done at 20 degrees Celsius, and from this test an indirect tensile coefficient, it was determined. And if this coefficient of compacted wrap sample exceeds 1.7 MPa, it may not be used in asphalt mixes. So it has to be lesser than this one. Just a minute. Okay, fine. So now they had new standards. Fine. Instead of this penetration, they went for the ITS coefficient. Now they fixed certain standards for rejuvenators also, but they were not telling that which rejuvenators they were using. Right? So this all the rejuvenators, they have been patented by most of the countries, and Japan has the maximum patented rejuvenators that they are using. But there are certain specifications that were being laid by Japanese people for the use of these rejuvenators. The first one was kinematic viscosity at 60 degrees Celsius. So it should be between 80 to 1000 centistrokes for the rejuvenators. Then flash point 250 degrees Celsius, and dosage. So rejuvenators, they were allowed to be used from 5 to 10% by weight of the wrap binder. Now the Japanese, they attributed their success to the use of high wrap in HMA in three main key points. So the key points were that they focused on the quality. Then they focused on heating the wrap to drive out the moisture. Now this was an important component that on which they focused and which resulted in the use of high percentage of wrap. Now whenever this wrap is extracted and it is stored in the stockpiles or it is stored in big bins. So what US were doing is they were not what US was doing is they were not able to control the moisture content because the wrap material, it was stored in open places. So Japanese, they said that this wrap material, it is to be stored in the closed containers, and moisture content has to be determined or has to be maintained. You cannot throw the wrap material openly. Now these are the key components or key aspects of wrap specifications. So not going into the detail of these theoretical things, I'll just come to this portion, that why is it not possible that we cannot use 100% of the wrap? See, what is wrap? I again come to the previous definition. What does it constitute of? It constitute of aggregates which are coated with aged asphalt binder. Fine. Now, how do we make a Marshall mix? We heat up the bitumen separately at a temperature of around 140-150 degrees Celsius. We heat up the aggregates in a separate container, approximately up to the same temperature, fine, wherein we have just a difference of 10 degrees or so. Let us say that we are heating a bitumen to 150 degrees Celsius and aggregate to 150 degrees Celsius, and then mixing them at a particular temperature and then laying it and compacting it in a Marshall mold with 75 blows on each side. This is how we get a Marshall sample. The same is the procedure at the site. This is how we get it. Now, in case of wrap, what we have to do is we cannot heat the wrap aggregate directly. So this is the major drawback or major limitation. We cannot heat the wrap aggregate directly. Why? Because this wrap, if it is being heated directly, now that aged binder will further age at a temperature of 150 degrees Celsius. Right? So it will emit a blue smoke, which is hazardous for the bin or for the plant, right? And even for the atmosphere. Now, how these wrap binders or wrap aggregates they are heated? They are heated indirectly. By indirect method, I mean you have to heat the fresh aggregates to such a temperature that when this wrap aggregate or wrap material comes into contact with those fresh aggregates, the fresh aggregates should transfer their heat to the wrap aggregate, and that binder on the wrap aggregate, it is being heated indirectly. No direct heating is allowed. Now, if we are using 100% wrap, fine, even in case of a 50% wrap, if we are using the fresh aggregates, they are to be heated to a temperature of around 300 to 350 degrees Celsius, which is an extremely high temperature. And we have to use so much of fuel in this process. Right? Even we don't have the drums or we don't have the bins or arrangements at the site to heat this. Now, the contractor, they are using the normal batch plants. To use this wrap material, they have to modify their batch plants, and this one-time cost for modification in India, it is about 30 lakhs. Right? So normally contractors are hesitant to invest so much of money. And second major drawback in our country is that we don't have the specification guidelines. Right? We don't have the specifications, we just have the guidelines. So there is a major difference between the specifications and the guidelines. We don't have specifications till date that how this wrap material is to be used, and so we just have the guidelines, and the contractors are not willing to follow or adopt these guidelines. Now let us have an example of I told you that one software grade of binder is to be used and so on. But how it is to be used and how we can calculate. See, if we are using 0 to 15%, same binder can be used. 1%, 15 to 30%, one grade software is to can be used. But what happens if we have to use more than 30%? So this is an example. Let us say that the viscosity of aged wrapped binder at 60 degrees Celsius is 75,000 points. So this is for the aged wrap. So target viscosity that we want to achieve, or in a certain area we are using VG20. So let us say this is a target viscosity. VG20 has a viscosity of 2000 points. Right? Now amount of wrap that is to be used is 40%. Fine. So 40% wrap is to be used. Fine. And then another parameter that we have is extracted bitumen content in wrap. So let us say that the initial bitumen content in the recycled mixed, it was 5.2%. So this what we have, let us say that we normally design the Marshall mixes and we calculate the optimum binder content. So let us say that this road, when it was constructed, it had an optimum binder content of 5.2% at which it was constructed. Right? So after certain years or 5 or 7 years or so, when we extracted the bitumen from this road, it was only 4%. Now, with this 4% bitumen, we want to use 40% of the wrap material, which has a viscosity of 75,000 poise. So these are the input values. And what we want is we want that the final mix, it should have a target viscosity of 2000 poise, that is VG20. Now, first of all, we'll calculate the binder content that is contributed by this wrap. So we are using 40% of the wrap material, and wrap has 4% of the bitumen. So 4 multiplied by 0.4, it gives us 1.6%. So 1.6% of the total bitumen we are going to get from this wrap material. Now new binder that is to be added. So the optimum binder content that was calculated initially, it was 5.2%, 5.2. So 1.6% it is being generated by the wrap material. So remaining is 3.6%. So how much percentage of new binder it is required is 3.6 divided by 5.2. That means 70%. So if we are using 40% of the wrap material with 4% of the bitumen content remaining in it, we are required to use 70% of the fresh binder content. So this is a net, there is a net saving of 30% of the bitumen in this. So this is a huge saving. Now, with these input values, now this is a blending chart as per ASTM D4887. We need 3 input values. First is percentage of new binder in the total binder, that is 70%. Fine. So 70% will be the new binder, 30% will be the old binder. Second is we need the target viscosity. So target viscosity is 2000 poise. VG20 we want to achieve. Third is viscosity of the aged binder. So viscosity of the aged binder was given to us as 75,000 poise. Now just look at this blending chart. So what we have to determine from this blending chart is that now VG20, it is the target viscosity. 75,000 poise, it was the viscosity of the aged wrap binder. Now which new binder and what new binder with what viscosity we have to add, that is to be calculated. Whether we have to add VG10, VG5, VG0 and whatever. Fine, we'll calculate from this. See, first of all, you mark a point with this target viscosity. It is on this y-axis. So it is 75,000 poise, you get this point. Now you come on the x-axis. It has a new binder blend by weight. So 70% was you get from this point part 1. 70% corresponding to this 70% new binder, we have a target viscosity of 2000. Right? So mark this 2000 target viscosity at this point. Now join these two viscosities and extend them. You get this point. This is the viscosity of the new binder. You move this line onto the y-axis and you get this as around 400, 100, 200, 300, between 300 and 400. So that means VG5 is to be used. If you use VG5, right, 70% of VG5 and 30% of the old binder, when they will be mixed together, they will result in a target viscosity of VG20. Right? So these are the advantages of using wrap material. These are environmental benefits. These are its economic benefits. I've already discussed these, and these are the engineering benefits and so on. So wrap, it has a long history. It is a sustainable material. It is economical and it works really well. But the only thing is you need to keep the specifications in mind.